In the early 1400s, Europe stood at the edge of a cultural revolution. For centuries, architecture had been dominated by towering Gothic cathedrals and medieval fortresses. But in the heart of Italy, something extraordinary was about to happen. Artists, scholars, and architects began rediscovering the lost knowledge of ancient civilizations. They studied the ruins of the Roman Empire and the architectural wisdom of ancient Greece. This rebirth of classical knowledge would transform cities across Europe. It was called the Renaissance, a word that literally means rebirth. The story begins in the beautiful Italian city of Florence. During the 15th century, Florence became the center of art, science, and architecture. Wealthy families funded ambitious building projects that would reshape the city. One man would lead this architectural revolution, Filippo Brunelleschi. Brunelleschi believed that architecture should follow mathematical harmony and perfect proportion. Inspired by the buildings of ancient Rome, his greatest challenge? Building the massive dome of the Florence Cathedral. At the time, no engineer knew how to construct such a large dome without collapsing. But Brunelleschi devised an ingenious double-shell design and revolutionary construction techniques. When the dome was finally completed in 1436, it became one of the greatest engineering achievements in history. Renaissance architects rejected the complexity of medieval Gothic design and instead embraced clarity and balance. The buildings followed several key principles: symmetry, structures were carefully balanced on both sides, geometry, squares, circles, and mathematical ratios guided design, classical elements, columns, domes, and arches inspired by ancient Rome. This return to classical beauty reflected a new philosophy called humanism, which placed humans, reason, and nature at the center of art and science. Many brilliant architects shaped this movement. One of them was Battista Alberti, who combined architecture with philosophy and mathematics. He wrote influential books explaining how buildings should follow perfect proportions. Another visionary was Donato Bramante. Bramante designed the elegant Tempietto, a small temple in Rome that perfectly captured the harmony of classical architecture. He also created the first design for the magnificent St. Peter's Basilica later. The legendary artist Michelangelo would complete its iconic dome, making it one of the most famous churches in the world. What began in Italy soon spread across the continent. Kings and nobles in France, Spain, and England embraced Renaissance design, magnificent palaces, cathedrals. And government buildings were built using classical columns, grand domes, and symmetrical layouts. Entire cities began to reflect this new vision of beauty and order. Renaissance architecture changed the course of architectural history forever. It reintroduced the principles of proportion, symmetry, and classical harmony, which would later inspire movements such as Baroque and neoclassical architecture, even today. Many government buildings, museums, and universities around the world still follow these Renaissance ideals. From the domes of Italy to the palaces of Europe, the Renaissance proved that architecture is more than construction. It is a reflection of human creativity, intelligence, and ambition. More than 500 years later, the masterpieces of the Renaissance still stand tall, reminding us of a time when humanity rediscovered the wisdom of the past and used it to build a new future.